raising your hands using that emoticon. Yeah, so that I can, decide that order beforehand. Okay, so beginning with this, I would like to welcome you all to today's Policy Manthan session. And since the government has released a draft menstrual health policy very recently, we are going to mark this occasion at Sarkari School since it is very closely aligned with one of our pet projects called Project Vedna. And I think Sarkari school interns and employees have always been working towards making menstrual equity a very prominent feature of our organization's advent. So today's theme is going with the flow, formulating and implementing effective menstrual health policies. The participants are encouraged to state their views on sub-themes like taking a sustainable turn, how to make menstrual policies and practices eco-friendly, shedding of shame, measures to educate people about menstruation, the need and effect of showing menstruation as it is in media, assessing the draft menstrual hygiene policy in 2015, does 2023 policy fare any better, injecting inclusivity, how to address the requirements of people who menstruate, hurdles in spreading awareness about menstrual health in urban and rural areas, is deferring the discussion about menstruation a sustainable option, why or why not, the role of affordability, how to widen the reach of menstrual products in low income groups, looking beyond India, how have other countries fared with menstrual health policies. So after I have read the keynote, the keynote brief attached with this month's policy Manthan notification, I think that it will be better that if we begin without much ado. And I would request all the participants to switch on the cameras and be an active part of the session since this is being live streamed on YouTube right now. So deciding the order beforehand, first will be Anmol, then Ketki, Isha, then Naina. Okay, so I think I've decided the order for the first four speakers. So Anmol, you may begin.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So, my topic is the need and effect of showing menstruation as it is in media. So, we are aware that media plays a major role in our day to day life, and sometimes without even realizing, we form opinions and gain knowledge or shape our mindset because of its influence. So, it is important to focus how certain topics are portrayed in media. So when we talk about menstruation, we know that it's a very natural process, but often appears as a burden and something to be kept hidden as much as possible. Something that is shown as an inconvenience to men. Like if you all have noticed, like premenstrual syndrome, which is a wide variety of signs and symptoms, including mood swings, fatigue, irritability, menstruators experience a few days before, and sometimes these symptoms are often experienced during the period as well. It is portrayed in a comical sense, something that men need to be prepared for and keep distance from the female counterparts. This portrayal trivializes what a menstruator actually goes through. Their genuine emotions of anger and disappointment are often patronized towards PMS. Another effect it causes is the lack of awareness about premenstrual dysphoria disorder, which is a very common but serious mental health disorder, and which often gets ignored because how PMS is trivialized. It causes debilitating anxiety, depression, and mood swings, and it's something which is not normal but is explained as such in the guise of PMS all over the media. Another effect that I noticed while reading, and also something that I personally experienced, was how advertisement feed on creating insecurities. Like, for example, a few years back, sanitary napkins came with fragrance because of the period odor, which might be a problem, but it was not something that I gave a thought about as an impressionable teenager until I saw an advertisement, and it really made me feel anxious. It was not something that I had any problem with it or I got complaints about it, but it did affect my purchasing after that. But moreover, it just made me more anxious for a while. Now, if we talk about movies, one example that I came through was a Hollywood movie named Carrie, which wherein the protagonist came across a period in a shower room at her school gym, but and runs for help. in the girls' locker room, but instead of help, she is mocked and laughed at. Such portrayal sends a message of disgust and shame around menstruation. Now, if we talk about social media, one of the well known campaigns that garnered headlines globally was um, menstruation themed social media post by Canadian artist Rupi Kaur that was twice deleted by Instagram, citing it did not comply with community guidelines which prohibit nudity, sexual acts, and violence. The post was simply about a picture of a period leak and stain, something which is far from sexual acts, violence, or yeah, nudity. Again, sending a message that menstruation is something that should be a hushed topic. Now, if menstruation is shown exactly the way it is, it can help with sensitization towards PMS, more acceptance and empathy from non-menstruators. Period cramps, which for a lot of women is much more than just an inconvenient pain. Like I have a friend who has fainting spells and debilitating pain that renders her non-functional for 3 to 4 days. If these aspects are highlighted, menstruators would not have to justify and fight for period leaves from work time and again. Also, there's a need to represent transgender men in media and they struggle with periods and something which is almost non-visible in any form of media. I'm not saying that nothing has changed or the situation is just negative because I'm fortunate enough to be surrounded by sensitive men, but that is just bare minimum. The stigma may not show up as much as don't touch the pickle jar, but it is very much present in other forms and it needs to be tackled. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anmol, for sharing your views on this. And I'm glad you referenced Carrie in all this, because what I always felt about the movie and Stephen King's portrayal about the same has been that, the climax sequence where she is doused in blood during her prom night is also a very ugly callback to the first sequence in the movie. And overall, I don't think that it has done, or it has done a very progressive thing towards representing menstruation as it is. In fact, it has propagated shame. And if we follow the three themes through the movie, which is rage, I think it goes way more than the biblical oppression she's, facing at the hands of her mother. Because at the very same time, I think the movie speaks to a large demographic, saying that, once you bleed, blood is also, a symbolic form of rage, which is not as, palatable, or let's say not as acceptable as a notion when we treat menstrual hygiene. And I think the very term menstrual hygiene is also, I think, one of the oxymorons of our century or our time. Because when we imply menstrual hygiene, when we follow these two words, we also imply that, menstruation is a practice which is inherently dirty. So I think that, Anmol, I would note your views, and definitely I'll come back to that once we conclude with the policy, Manthan. Yeah, thank you so much for that. And let's follow the order. After Anmol, it's Ketki, then Isha, Naina, and then Jess Maria. Yeah, Isha, sorry, it's Ketki, you can unmute and speak.
Yeah. Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. So I'd like to speak on the topic shedding the stigma around menstruation and measures to educate people about the same. So picking off from where Anul left it off, that media sometimes does more harm than good in portraying menstruation as a very natural biological process. So, and especially in India, as in many parts of the world, menstruation is often shrouded in stigma and ignorance. And even though it is a natural bodily process which is very integral to human life, it still continues to be surrounded by a lot of taboos and misconceptions. And so, education, therefore, is a cornerstone stone of change because education is the primary tool of socialization. And what we are taught in schools, at homes, about menstruation goes a long way in shaping our opinions about the same. All of us, or maybe most of us, can vouch for the fact that the way we were taught to approach menstruation in school is also very problematic if viewed retrospectively. And therefore, schools and educational institutions must incorporate comprehensive and age appropriate menstrual hygiene education into their curricula without associating it with shame, guilt, or any kind of negative emotions. boys and girls should learn about the same, since it is a biological process and also involves emotional and physical manifestations. And by normalizing gender neutral discussions about the same from an early age, we break down barriers and foster a culture of openness and understanding. And education through community engagement is also equally vital, because informal education through conversations or maybe gatherings initiated by governments or NGOs can dispel myths, provide accurate information about menstrual health, and encourage dialogue within the community. Because when knowledge is shared openly, individuals can make informed decisions about their health. Also, a critical factor in shedding stigma around menstruation is to make the discussion, make the dialogue more equitable and more accessible, by knowing that all those who menstruate are privy to this discussion. So, empowering menstruators to manage their emotions, to manage this process with dignity, is of paramount importance. And providing access to affordable and eco friendly sanitary products and services is a crucial step. And the government recently, by launching the National Menstruation Policy, has also addressed it in several aspects. So it promotes an open dialogue about this through formal educational institutions, and also advocates for accessible and affordable menstrual products, especially focusing on vulnerable populations like low income individuals and marginalized communities. Distribution programs and subsidies are also a cornerstone of the same program, which can go a long way in shedding off the stigma that has been traditionally associated with this process. So, in conclusion, the journey to destigmatize menstruation and educate the masses is an ongoing process. We must work collectively across all sectors of the society to eradicate the shame and misconception. And by integrating education, community engagement, access to healthcare, sustainable practices, media campaigns, and inclusivity, we can strive to create a society that embraces menstruation as a natural part of life. So, yeah, that is all I had to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Keerti, for your suggestions and views about the topic. And I would say that whenever we have to introduce this discussion in, co-ed spaces or, spaces that are especially inhabited by men, because I don't think that the knowledge of menstruation should be specifically like, relegated to the domain that it is something best understood by women, because of course it's experienced by them, but it would help generate some empathy once we involve men into the discussion. And I think one of the most major points to tackle this discussion would be to, shed off shame, as your topic was. Because I think we need to address one thing, that if we are valorizing the flow of blood from wounds, if we are valorizing the flow of blood which is incurred during war, then why are we, I would say, criminalizing that flow when it comes out of the woman's body and is a part and parcel of her natural cycle? So I think that not only it will help in debilitating that kind of shame and starting a very, I would say, informative discussion about it, which would make people sensitive to the fact that menstruation is nothing to be ashamed of. So thank you so much, Kirti. And let me follow the order after you. So according to the order, Isha, you are the next speaker. You may unmute, Isha. I hope you're able to hear me. Just a sec. Um, just a second. Isha, I think that you can go next, or what we can do is that, we can go on with Nena and then Isha can speak in your stead. Nena, is it okay? Okay, so Nana, I think you can go forward and Isha can speak after you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Okay. So, my topic is addressing the hurdles that are faced while spreading awareness about menstruation in rural and urban areas. So, I will begin by saying that menstruation is a natural and an integral part of the female anatomy, yet it remains shrouded in stigma and misconceptions in many societies, not just Indian society, but it remains shrouded in stigma in worldwide many societies. And with an estimated 1.8 billion individuals menstruating worldwide, including girls, women, non-binary persons, transgender men, it is crucial to address the range of issues that they encounter, from stigma to social inclusion to gender inequality and lack of basic services. Spreading awareness about menstrual health is not only essential for promoting the well-being of individuals, but also for the well-being of individuals who menstruate, but also for fostering gender equality and social inclusion. However, the task of raising awareness about menstrual health faces distinct challenges in both urban and rural areas. So, we'll first address the challenges faced within urban areas. Stigma, that is the first challenge. Despite better access to information in urban areas can still have stigma and taboos surrounding menstruation, making it difficult to openly discuss and educate. Another is the fast paced lifestyle that is prevalent in urban areas. Urban life can be very hectic, as we all know it, leaving little time for uh, comprehensive menstrual health education, making it important to find effective ways to reach busy individuals. And also, another is misinformation. In urban areas, there may be more access to information, but this also means that exposure to inaccurate or conflicting information from various sources. I think we all remember the case that happened this year of a brother like killing his sister because she like menstruating. He did not understand that it was menstruation. He like thought it was something else, and he killed her for it basically. So that is what misinformation can bring out such results. And as for rural areas, I would say lack of access is the first one that comes to mind. Rural areas often lack access to basic hygiene products, clean water, and sanitation facilities, which can adversely affect menstrual health. Limited education levels in rural areas may be lower, making it challenging to convey essential menstrual health information effectively. Also, cultural barriers, deep-rooted cultural barriers and practices can restrict discussions about menstruation and hinder the adoption of healthier menstrual practices. And rural areas may also have limited healthcare infrastructure, making it difficult for individuals to seek medical advice or obtain sanitary products. Addressing these challenges requires tailored awareness campaigns, community involvement, and policy support to ensure that menstrual health education reaches all demographics, regardless of their location. Now, India has fared well when it comes to menstrual health hygiene. Menstrual health hygiene was also a part of the National Health Mission 2011, and it is also a part of the Swachh Bharat guidelines. Menstrual, but also that there are only two states in India which provide, I think, which have menstrual leave policies for women, and those two states are Kerala and Bihar. So while these measures do benefit people women in organized work, but challenges also remain for women in informal sector who do not have access to such leaves. So obviously, more has to be done to ensure that women are not penalized for their periods. Paid menstrual leave should not be looked down upon and should not be used against women, and hirers should not see them as risky hires resulting in discrimination and fewer career opportunities and advancements. The health and self-esteem of those who menstruate can be improved by giving them autonomy in managing their periods with enough rest and choice for other feasible measures as they see fit. So I would say like menstrual health hygiene has to be more inclusive. It must also cater to needs of the differently able transgender men and people with other gender identities who menstruate. Gender non-conforming persons face safety problems and a lack of menstrual supplies. We need to urgently understand their unique needs as well. Uh, As my ending note, I would say that menstrual health is not just a woman's subject. It requires comprehensive and meaningful education, uh, like uh, on menstrual processes, supportive environments, and honest conversations can help boys and men better understand menstrual health hygiene. It seeks access to uh, ensure it seeks the draft menstrual hygiene policy that has come out. It also seeks access to ensure it also seeks to ensure access to safe and hygienic menstrual products, improve sanitation facilities, provide comprehensive menstrual health education, also address social taboos and foster an overall inclusive and supportive environment. So for today, that's all I have to say for today.
Thank you so much, Nena, for highlighting these points. And I would appreciate you to bring to highlight that news about a brother actually going on to kill his sister because he never knew what menstruation was, and he thought that something is inherently wrong with her. So I think this
Yes.
is what we need to understand about the lack of knowledge about menstruation. First of all, it's not an illness, as highlighted before, and second of all, if we do not involve the stakeholders, which are also men, I think that the discussion remains rather incomplete on how to consider menstruation comprehensively as a phenomenon. So thank you so much, Nena. So after Nena, since Isha was not reachable, I had assigned her the next place. So Isha, I think you can go forward, unmute and speak.
Hi everyone. I'm really sorry my laptop wasn't responding, so I couldn't unmute earlier. So, the topic or the sub theme that I'll be taking up today is taking a sustainable turn, how to make menstrual practices eco friendly. Mainly, I'll be covering the types of products, period products that are available in the Indian market. So, periods and menstrual hygiene come with their own unique and important challenges, such as accessibility, affordability, and convenience. And among all these, sustainability just takes a backseat. So, let's start from the very start. When girls in our country start menstruating, they get introduced to a pad, given that they are privileged enough. This sanitary pad for most women remains their best buddy right from the start of their period till the time they enter menopause. But sadly, it's not the environment's best buddy. Such sanitary pads take 500 to 800 years to break down, and microplastics and other materials never truly biodegrade. With some minor differences in their composition, tampons are almost equally harmful as sanitary pads that are disposable. However, in recent times, pads and tampons have evolved into eco friendly versions of themselves. Disposable pads are now being made from natural materials such as bamboo and banana fiber, offering an eco friendly alternative. These pads are often marketed as eco friendly, but we really need to understand the details of it. Is biodegradable the same as compostable? And if not, how does it matter? So, merely biodegradable does not mean compostable. Technically, everything around us is biodegradable. So it may take hundreds and thousands of years for something to biodegrade, but that's still biodegradable. Compostable materials, which form a subset of biodegradable materials, are, on the contrary, made from natural materials that can decompose fully into compost without producing any visible or toxic residue, and that also in a specific time frame and under certain conditions. For pads to be able to labeled or actually called compostable in the real sense, they need to be capable of disintegrating in soil in about 90 to 180 days, and also the entire product including the glue or the even the minor parts of it have to be made out of a single natural ingredient. Now there's another category of sanitary pads that don't really get a lot of attention, probably because a lot of inconvenience is associated with them. It's the reusable cloth pad. These pads can last for about a year or two, and they seem like a pretty decent option in terms of sustainability because it's pretty much like a cloth or just cotton. But washing off blood for almost 3 to 5 days each month, that's not exactly what people should be expected to do for the environment. So, although good for the environment and also for the health of women, cloth pads might be one of the least convenient options. Another category of period products, which are relatively not so popular as pads or tampons, are menstrual cups. These can become a very convenient option, although they might take some time for the person using them to get used to them, and after that, they can last for almost as long as a decade. So, one cup produces an estimated 0.4% of the plastic waste that single use pads build up, and also 6% of that created by tampons in the span of 10 years. So, they are actually uh, really eco friendly as compared to any other alternatives. These menstrual cups are either made from silicone, which is easily recyclable, or they're made from natural rubber, which is compostable. However, there's a need to wash the cup and with each use and sterilize them after each cycle. And as I said, people do really take up a lot of time to get used to them. So that's one drawback there. I hope this discussion was clear, and now we can proceed with trying to find the perfect period product. So, among the options widely available and those that we have discussed, three appear to me to be the most sustainable ones. The compostable and not just the biodegradable pads, cloth pads, also covering the category of period underwear, and third being menstrual cups. So, if we consider factors like convenience and affordability, we can make a very sustainable choice by selecting any one of these three or maybe a combination. So, yeah, I hope this discussion helps us rethink our period practices and get more sustainable. So, thank you.
Thank you so much, Isha, for bringing out the pros and cons of each option, as well as the necessity of having a lot of diversified period products, because mere reliance on pads alone is also compounding the problem of waste generation and sanitary waste disposal. So thank you so much for bringing these facts to the fore. And after Isha, we will have just Maria, then Nishtha, and then after that, we'll have Ayush and Achal. So just Maria, you may unmute and speak. Just Maria, you are not audible right now. Can you, if it will be nice if you can fix the issue, because it's like I'm not able to hear you. No, you are not audible. I don't think so. So what I suggest is that you log out and then you log in back. No, you are not audible. What I suggest is, Maria, I think that you should log out of the session for the meanwhile until the next speaker is going on with their views. We can reschedule your speech after Nishtha is done. Yeah, I hope Ayush, that's okay with you.
Yes. No
Okay,
problem.
all right. So meanwhile, Nishtha, I think that you can go on and speak. Till then, we'll just tackle what's the issue with Just Maria. Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. So, today my topic is what are the hurdles we are facing in spreading awareness about menstrual health in urban and rural areas. So, as we know, it is a crucial component of promoting overall well being among women. Despite progress in breaking down societal taboos, significant hurdles persistent in spreading awareness, especially in diverse settings like urban and rural areas. So we explore the challenges faced in information about menstrual health and suggest potential solution to bridge the awareness gaps. So there are some of the urban challenges, which are: first, urban areas are not immune to the persistent stigmatization and myths surrounding menstruation. Cultural beliefs and societal norms often contribute to the perpetuation of misinformation, hindering open discussion. While urban areas generally have better access to educational resources, the quality of menstrual health education remains inconsistent. Schools may not provide comprehensive information, and the subject might still be treated as taboo in educational curriculum. Despite increased awareness, the affordability of menstrual products remains a significant concern in urban areas. High prices and limited accessibility to sanitary products may compromise the menstrual hygiene practices of economically disadvantaged women. Although some progressive companies have implemented menstrual leave policies, many urban workplaces still lack such provisions. This absence may contribute to the perpetuation of a culture that discourages open discussion about menstrual health. Now, some of the rural challenges which are that rural areas face infrastructure challenges, including scarcity of schools and educational resources. Limited access to formal education affects the dissemination of information on menstrual health. Traditional beliefs and deep rooted taboos surrounding menstruation persist in rural communities. These taboos often restrict open conversation about menstrual health and contribute to the harmful practices. Rural women often face challenges in accessing affordable and hygiene menstrual products. Lack of awareness about alternative menstrual products and sustainable practices create the problem. These areas also generally experience healthcare disparities affecting the availability of medical guidance on menstrual health. Women may lack access to healthcare professionals too, who can provide accurate information and added concerns. So there are some of the solutions which we can implement, like we can implementing comprehensive menstrual health educational programs in schools, both in urban and rural areas. These programs should not only cover biological aspects but also focus on breaking taboos and addressing the emotional and psychological aspects of menstruation. Grassroots initiatives that involve local communities can be effective in dispelling myths and taboos. Community led awareness campaigns facilitated by local leaders and influencers can have a significant impact. Government also need to play an active role in promoting menstrual health. This includes integrating education into school curricula, subsidizing menstrual products, and ensuring healthcare services that address these issues. And also encouraging the development and distribution of affordable and sustainable menstrual products is crucial. Innovations in product design and distribution methods can enhance accessibility and affordability, especially in rural areas. Digital platform can be a powerful tool for disseminating information. Educational apps, online resources, and social media campaigns can reach a wide audience, including those in remote areas. So, spreading awareness about menstrual health in both and urban and rural areas requires a multifaceted approach. By addressing the unique challenges each setting presents, society can work towards creating an environment where menstruation is not only understood but embraced without stigma or barriers. It is a collective responsibility to empower women with knowledge, ensuring they can manage their menstrual health with dignity and confidence, regardless of where they live. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nishtha, for expressing your views on the subject. And yes, as you highlighted, comprehensive education in understanding the challenges across different economic stratas, which have varying access to menstrual products and education, is very important. So yeah, now that Jess Maria has joined back, I would like to invite her. And Jess Maria, you may speak about your topic.
Hi everyone, I'm audible.
Yes,
Am I
Jess
audible?
Maria, you are. Yes, Jess Maria, you are audible.
Okay. So let's talk about the measures of awareness of menstruation. So first of all, there are some priority areas that we want to look into to give the awareness about the menstruation. That are first of all, that is education. In low-income countries, half of the schools lack adequate water, sanitation, and hygiene services, crucial to enable girls and female teachers to manage menstruation. Many studies argue that inadequate sanitary facilities affect girls' experiences at school, causing them to miss classes during their menstruation or even drop out. Schools that have female friendly facilities and incorporate information on menstruation into the curriculum for both boys and girls can reduce stigma and contribute to better education and health outcomes. I want to say an example for this because I have an experience in my school that was very bad experience when I'm thinking now that when class of students are sitting there, the students like girls and boys, uh, teachers will only call girls to tell about or give awareness about menstruation only to the girls without knowing or realizing that boys also want that. Like actually, in my opinion, there is no gender to know about what is menstruation, what are the things that we going through when we are menstruating. So that's a thing that really happening in typical local schools in like our areas. And the next one is health. When girls and women have access to safe and affordable sanitary materials to manage their menstruation, they decrease their risk of infections. This can have cascading effects on overall sexual and reproductive health, including during teen pregnancy, maternal outcomes, and fertility. Poor menstrual hygiene, however, can pose serious health risks like reproductive and urinary tract infections, which can result in future infertility and birth complications. Neglecting to wash hands after changing menstrual products can spread infections such as hepatitis B and thrush. And the next one is gender equality. Promoting menstrual health and hygiene is an important means for safeguarding women's dignity, privacy, bodily integrity, and consequently their self efficacy. Awareness of menstrual hygiene contributes to building an enabling environment of non discrimination and gender equality in which female voices are heard, girls have choices about their future, and women have options to become leaders and managers. And even when we see some of them officers or government officers and the universities are providing like for example the Cochin University which is providing menstrual leave for the students and teachers, which is a good example for the measures that we can take during the high time of like this era. And the next one is economy. Like improving menstrual hygiene and providing access to affordable menstrual materials can help improve girls and women's access to education, opening more options for jobs, promotions, and entrepreneurship, thus unleashing female contributions to overall economy rather than keeping them at home. In addition, feminine hygiene products are a multi-billion-dollar industry, which, if probably tapped into, can generate income for many and significantly boost economic growth. And the next one is environment. Like even if you're using the menstrual pads and all, it is non-disposable in case and thus disposable sanitary products contribute to large amounts of global waste and ensuring women and girls have access to sustainable and quality products, and improving the management of the disposal of menstrual products can make a big difference to the environment. So these are the things I wanted to share with you guys, and yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Jess Maria, for sharing your opinions and also some facts about, accessibility, affordability, and other aspects related to menstrual hygiene and its penetration currently in the Indian policy paradigm and among the target population group that encourages a degree of education and sensitivity to be inculcated by not only the target group, but also people who surround them. So thank you so much for sharing it. And after just Maria, we have Ayush. And after Ayush, we will have Achal, Shweta, and then Harshita. So Ayush, you may unmute.
Good evening, everyone. So, the topic which I have chosen for today is how to widen the reach of menstrual products in low income groups. So, as we all know, that menstruation is a basic human process which normally starts in girls from their adolescence. Despite being a basic human phenomenon, it is still extensively stigmatized in the rural as well as the urban centers. This taboo is essentially dominant in rural areas where the girls in their periods are alienated from performing basic duties of praying, making food, or touching anything in general, as it is still believed that they are impure and thus are not worthy to be in the society during their cycle. The alienation is also seen in women for fellow women, as they do not share extensively about the periods and how to deal with it clearly with their daughters, who are nearing their onset, as it is still a hush hush topic in the rural, or for that matter, also in the urban circles. This gap in transfer of useful information leads to high dropout rates of girls in schools, as they feel embarrassed when the cycle begins for the first time. As Ketki pointed out, rightly so, in case of education being a major factor in the transfer of useful knowledge, it is still seen in the rural area, especially that there have been a number of cases recorded where the teachers have denied from teaching the chapters related to menstruation and reproduction due to an alleged sense of embarrassment experienced by the teachers in speaking about it openly in front of the students. Thus, the taboo is further given fuel to by the parents, teachers, and the society. It is not just the social stigma which causes a major impediment in expansion of distribution of menstrual products. The structural failure is also one of the major factors for this failure. The schools, especially in rural areas, lack the basic infrastructure for maintaining hygiene for the menstruating girls or girls in general. Lack of clean water and proper toilets leads to 25% increase in the dropout rates seen in girls, which really takes a toll on the education gap seen between girls and boys. Highest percentage of dropouts in girls is seen during their ninth and 10th grade as they experience their periods for the first time. The crucial formative years for girls are thus wasted due to the taboo of menstruation still persisting in the society, despite the efforts made by the NGOs and the government of India through various schemes, incentivizing schemes or subsidies or nukkar nataks as well. So one might understand that menstruation is a multi-layered issue and thus it needs to be taken care of with proper innovation involved. One might also understand that by awareness drives and street plays, one might not realize the goal of providing and educating about menstrual hygiene to each and every woman in India, and also the male audience. One of the ways, in my opinion, is commercializing the taboo. Now, a taboo is only maintained when no value is derived out of it. Till the time no value is generated, it is easier to continue a taboo. But the moment it is commercialized, it starts to generate value. Low income groups in general are highly stigmatized with topics related to menstruation, role of women in economic front, etc. But the major impediment they face is lack of income to sustain a basic lifestyle. Thus, if it tries to commercialize the menstrual products, it would reduce the taboo as the low income group would also get a chance to generate income out of it. The more people would get involved, the more would be the impact in bettering the chances of increase in conversations related to periods in these social groups. For example, recently, SDFC Parivartan, in one of their CSR projects, took an initiative to install sanitary pad vending machines in government schools in the district of Aurangabad in Bihar. The principals of the schools were hesitant to give permission to this idea, but SDFC promised to incentivize the principals as a part of the program. For example, if a principal tries to install or gives permission to install the more number of machines or more number of vending machines in the schools, the more would be the incentive for the principals as well. The principals then, looking at the profit for implementing this idea, approved the plan. This benefited the girls a lot, and the dropout rates were significantly reduced due to the availability of sanitary pads in schools. The sanitary pad vending machines also catalyzed the conversations related to menstrual hygiene and thus made the topic mainstream of sorts, where everyone was freely talking about it. Thus, one of the ways of destigmatizing it is commercializing it. As I've also mentioned before, expansion of availability of menstrual product to the low income group is only possible if one, we try to create a venture around it involving the low income groups, thus improving their incomes and ultimately bettering their chances of purchasing the menstrual products. Two, by subsidizing the rates of menstrual products, improving their affordability. And third, by incentivizing manufacturing units to promote mass production of good quality menstrual products, which will be helpful in reducing the prices of the products. For the first point, I've also found a hybrid social enterprise, which is already working by the name of Akar, which helps women produce and distribute affordable, high quality sanitary pads within their communities, while simultaneously raising awareness and sensitization of menstrual hygiene management. Their product Anandi is India's first and only Government of India lab certified, nearly 100% compostable and biodegradable sanitary pad. The portion earned by the sales of these pads goes back to the villages by providing free and subsidized pads and educational opportunities. Women are at the center of production as the mini factories of Akar are women supervised and women operated, facilitating jobs and the opportunity to learn entrepreneurial marketing and management skills. The draft menstrual hygiene policy of 2023, for that matter, also talks about subsidizing the menstrual products for school going girls, which is a major step in the right direction, as incentivizing is necessary for the reduction of taboo revolving around topics like menstruation. Thus, I would like to end it by saying that menstrual products are a basic necessity, and it should be available to each and every woman, irrespective of their income groups. It should be in the category of roti, kapda, and makan, as its significance is equal, if not higher than them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ayush, for actually citing a very good case study, because I was hoping that someone brings Akar to the fore. And like Akar, there's another initiative called Boond. And I think that, their model of making women the center of production and, including them in the process and not just alienating them from the entire dialogue on menstruation and the fact of affordability and promoting accessibility on their initiative, it's definitely worth noting and appreciating. So thank you so much for bringing that to the fore. And after Ayush, we have Achal, then Shweta, Harshita, and then Anamika. Yeah, Achal, I think you can unmute. We can't hear you. I don't think that I can hear you right now. So I think you can fix the issue. Meanwhile, if it's not a problem, I can ask Shweta to speak, and after that you can speak. Yeah. So Shweta, I think that you can unmute. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Hello, good evening, everyone. My topic is looking beyond India. How have other countries fared with menstrual health policies? First of all, thanks in large to the activists, young people, NGOs to place menstrual health on the agenda. Recently, if we see more and more governments are stepping up their efforts, and governments are also increasingly prioritizing menstrual health. For example, some countries are eliminating taxes on menstruation products, addressing the challenges faced by school-going girls and adolescents in finding menstrual products, and providing menstrual products to homeless or in prison population. Some countries also have made laws for medical leave for menstrual related symptoms, and many countries also have included menstrual health in national policies, action plans, or guidelines. And there was an overarching awareness for the necessity for menstrual health policy, provisions to improve menstrual health services. If we look at some of the national policies that are adopted by different countries, that are first of all MHM, which is menstrual hygiene management or menstrual health and hygiene. It refers to the access to menstrual hygiene products to absorb or collect the flow of blood during the menstruation, or privacy to change the materials, and access to facilities to dispose of used menstrual management materials. And next is tax reduction or tax removal. It tackles injustice by ensuring menstrual products are not taxed luxury, value added tax, but at a normal or reduced rate in comparison to other items of basic necessity. Countries such as Malaysia, Lebanon, Zambia, Tanzania, Ireland, and Colombia, and Mexico have completely removed value-added tax on menstrual products. And next is free, a subsidized product distribution, which includes distributing menstrual products freely or at subsidized prices for low-income groups and in public places such as schools or shelters. Scotland, New Zealand, and Kenya are those countries which do this practice. And Scotland is the first country to offer period products free of charge on a national scale. And New Zealand and Kenya distribute products for free in public schools. The next one is menstrual leave. Worldwide, menstrual leave is currently offered only in a small number of countries, including Japan, Taiwan, Indonesia, and South Korea and Zambia. And other practices include the World Bank's water global practice, which is increasingly working with countries to include menstrual health and hygiene interventions in water-related projects. At present, more than half of the World Bank water supply and sanitization projects include a menstrual health and hygiene component. In Cambodia and Mongolia and Myanmar, integration into existing government WASH, which is water, sanitization and hygiene, and school-based comprehensive sexuality education policies has been achieved to varying extents. In Mongolia, the
Shweta, I think that you are muted.
sorry,
Yeah.
am I audible now?
Yes, you are. You may continue.
Okay. In Mongolia, the minimum guidelines on water, sanitization in hygiene schools facilitate addressing the menstrual health. In countries with limited policies, further awareness building is absolutely needed to education and school development. Government may or should do more than just increase access to menstruation products, but these measures are also very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shweta, for sharing your views about the topic. And after Shweta, we have Harshita. Then we can, invite Anamika to share her views. So, Harshita, you may unmute.
Am I audible?
Yes, Harshita, you're audible.
Good evening, everyone. So my topic for today is the role of affordability, how to widen the reach of menstrual products in low-income groups in India. So I was going to start with the fact that menstrual products is a necessity, which was well covered by Ayush in his speech. So what I wanted to stress is that menstruating is a basic fact of human existence, and so are, menstrual hygiene products. They should be considered as necessities, but unfortunately, they are not. They're seen as luxuries in a lot of developing and underdeveloped countries, because these products in itself are very expensive if we see for some low income groups and the backward communities. So access to such products, and that to affordable access, is one of the prime challenges, because if we see from a practical lens, period poverty is real. So the stigma around menstruation is why India as a society, more than as a nation, if we see, is unable to realize the impact of the financial and physical distress that can lead to period inequity. So I just want to lay down a little scenario where I compare three nations and their access to affordable access to menstrual products. So if we see India, it's a developing nation. So according to the International Institute for Sustainable Development, of the 355 million people who menstruate, only 12% cannot afford period products. According to the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, only 12% of women and girls have access to sanitary napkins. Now, if we compare India as a developing nation to, Kenya, which is underdeveloped, if we consider compare with India. In Kenya, 65% of menstruators, they cannot afford menstrual products, particularly poor women. And even in a developed nation like the USA, a survey of low-income women by Reuters Health showed that nearly two-thirds could not afford menstrual hygiene products like even pads or tampons. So, using this scenario, I just wanted to say that be it any nation, developed, developing, or underdeveloped, you have, affordability is an issue that needs to be tackled in this scenario. So the problem is, access is there, but affordability isn't, because high quality menstrual hygiene products are expensive, and around 88% of women and girls in India, they use homemade alternatives like, old cloths, rags, hay in low income communities. So according to a study that I had read by FSG, the commercially available menstrual hygiene products are considered premium or luxury for such groups, because they are 0.7 to 5 times more expensive than the low cost pads that we have. So, it depends on the type of the product, but this is the range as how expensive these commercial products are. So, high costs are the main reason why low income women cannot afford such products. And the draft menstrual policy of 2023, it has, shed light upon, say, subsidizing such products in schools, as again, already mentioned by Ayush, and collaboration with social entrepreneurs, SFGs, and NGOs, so that, you can promote affordable products via, efficient supply chain channels. In addition to whatever is mentioned in the policy, I would like to make a little recommendations that can be implemented. So the main thing is to eliminate tax on menstrual products, because just as food is a necessity, it is not taxed. Like it's a necessity. It's something we need. Water is a necessity. Even menstrual products should be dealt with the same way. And so a fiscal policy that removes tax on menstrual hygiene products can efficiently reduce the economic burden of women in low income groups. And such related to this, advocacy campaigns can be initiated to, address the stigma around it, and, subsequent menstrual hygiene taxation policies. In addition, there can be community-based distributions, to make such products readily available to low-income groups. And this will not only give, affordable access, but also give the local women, if they are trained, they can be given opportunities to, work as distributors, and an alternative way of livelihood, basically. And if we see from a business perspective, businesses who manufacture menstrual hygiene products, they should encourage, in India especially, local production of such products should be encouraged. So, it will reduce import costs, and therefore the price of such products will reduce, and that can be made affordable in a way. And in this case, SHGs, the self-help groups, they can also manufacture low-cost sanitary pads by training women. So this is one way. And another thing that I think is already mentioned about the CSR initiatives that we have, they can also provide subsidized or free products to low-income groups. And again, sustainability is an issue, is something that is always connected to manufacturing of menstrual hygiene products. So if you promote the use of sustainable options, even in low-income areas, reusable menstrual cups, cloth pads, or, it's not only eco-friendly, but making them aware that they are sustainable will, give them a new way to think that, you can reuse it. It's not that expensive. You can keep on using it. So that is something that can also be cost effective in the long run for them. And at the end, yes, financial inclusion is also something that can, in financial inclusion amongst women in low income groups will, help them allocate a certain portion of their income to for menstrual hygiene products. So yes, these are some of the things that I thought of in addition to what we know in the policy and in general. So yes, at the end, it's about the stigma. If you fight the stigma, you fight the inequality, you fight even the financial inequality that is somewhere associated to this. So yeah, that's how you can fight period stigmatization as well as period poverty overall. That's it from my end.
Yeah, thank you so much, Harshita, for actually dwelling very comprehensively on this topic because, I mean, popularly known as tampon tax or pad tax. I mean, what I feel about period poverty and the associated taxes is like taxing women for being women or taxing people who menstruate for, something which is very natural and inherent for their body. So while it has been a very debatable topic, given the price points and other decisions related to production, accessibility, and affordability, I think some of your suggestions really threw some light, and it's good that you built upon Ayu's speech because I would definitely like people to engage with each other like that. And it's like what we need is to, again, like Ayush said, bring women at the center of the discourse, make them stakeholders, make them partners in production. And like you highlighted, the CSR initiatives, they are also very important in bringing a certain kind of parity or an equity so that, what we need is just not tax cuts, but what we need is tax-free menstrual hygiene products. So thank you so much, Harshita, for that. And after Harshita, since I had elaborated in the comment section, Achal, you may go next. You're still not audible, Achal. Yeah. Okay, till then she fixes the problem. I think Anamika can go on and speak. Anamika, yeah.
Am I audible?
Yes, Anamika, you are.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I heard each and every one of you talk, and it was so good listening to all those different views and different ideas and opinions on all those issues that we are talking about. But what is a little alarming to me is the very fact that it's 21st century, and we still are in a need to normalize periods, and we are still in the need to reassure people that periods or menstruation is not a taboo. It's normal. It's what it is. You just have to take it as it is. And what I'll be talking about is very much similar to that. That is the importance of showcasing menstruation and its co-partners, which come without asking, like the mood swings and fatigue that we're talking about, and how important it is to normalize and to portray it as it is. So what I've personally seen is that when a small guy randomly comes to you and asks when you're on your periods, when they ask you why, what happened, Didi, you often say nothing, it's just stomach pain. Or even if you are about to explain it to them, being Gen Zs ourselves, even if we are going to explain it to them, their parents or their moms will be like, don't simply ask questions of that sort. Why are you invested in things that doesn't matter to you, and all that. So I feel from a very root level, we need to address this issue of stigmatizing periods as a whole. Menstruation is a natural and essential part of women's life, and it's so much uh, in so much silenced, and it's associated with a lot of stigma that we in the 21st century are still in a race to normalize this very natural process. Firstly, understanding and accepting all its co-partners like mood swings and fatigue during menstruation is essential. Hormonal changes are what causes all these, and it is for a fact to a larger extent uncontrollable from the person. Like a woman cannot control how their hormones work, or a woman cannot necessarily control how much it's not a button, or it's not a remote which they can control. So I think being informed, when men are informed about all these, women, I would tell you, being surrounded by men who understand what menstruation is, and being surrounded by men who actually care for you when you're on your menstruation cycle, you will feel so much better. You will feel acknowledged, you will feel at ease, because you don't have to hide yourself. you don't have that constant urge to uh, explain to people why you're angry, or explain it to people why you're tired. And often what happens at school is that when you're on your periods, and when you have a PTR, and when there is a physical education class, and when you try telling the teacher, they sometimes they agree, but sometimes they're like, is this even a reason? You guys are just 12 and 13. How can you even use periods as a reason? I've personally had experiences of that sort, but I've also had experiences where the teachers have seen me tired and they've told me, you can take rest, it's okay, it happens. So I think that is where being educated about all these things are important. And we have all seen advertisements where women are riding bicycles. They're doing everything that we don't do on a normal day, like riding bicycle, riding a horse, or maybe going on a motorcycle, climbing a mountain for I don't know what reason. So these are the kind of advertisements that we are portraying, that women on their periods are capable of doing all this, is what they're trying to show. If we use their pad, if we are using their particular pad or their particular menstrual product, we'll be able to do all that, is what they're trying to portray. But what we don't really look into is the negative aspect of that. The young minds who are seeing all this are thinking that, okay, so when I grow up and when I am in that stage of menstruation, maybe I'll also be able to do this. So what I want every young person to understand is that menstruation is not easy. Being in your periods is not easy. Bleeding for 7 days every single month until menopause, like until your 60th year, it's not a very simple thing to deal with. And sometimes I've had my friends tell me, friends who have very bad period days, tell me that the very fact that they know that they'll have to suffer this until their 60s and 70s is making them more anxious about it. And I also noticed how a lot of people are actually pressing about the use of menstrual cups. Menstrual cups are very eco-friendly, cost-effective, and very much comfortable. I have myself switched into menstrual cups very recently, but I'm telling you, the switch is so very worth it and very comfortable. So, in conclusion, I'd like to say that showcasing menstruation as it is and discussing its co partners like mood swings and fatigue helps break the taboo surrounding this natural process. Furthermore, transitioning into menstrual cup is a step towards sustainability and improved menstrual health. I also noticed that somebody mentioned about cloth pads, but what we forget is that cloth pads are often associated with a lot of health concerns, because even if we wash it with our hands, there are some microorganisms that need not be necessarily going away when we do that, I'm sorry. So I'd say that open conversations and uh, making choices on an individual scale is actually necessary in order to make this issue a normal one. Make this, it's not even an issue, make this, what do I say, it's not an issue for sure. So to make this matter a normal one, it's high time that we normalize periods or menstruation as a whole theme. It's just a thing that's happening to women, and they are to be normalized. I know I'm stressing this too much, but I think it's worth being stressed upon, considering how much we are discussing about normalizing that's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anamika, about sharing your views. And it's like you pointed out, it's very important not to alienate people from a very young age from the discourse of menstruation and then propagating the notion that it is something problematic or hush hush. So that was, I think, one of the most, I would say, pertinent point in your entire speech. And after Anamika, we have Achal. So Achal, you can try unmuting, or we can find another way for facilitating your participation. So yeah.
I hope I'm audible now.
Yeah, I think you just texted me third time is definitely a charm. So yeah,
I
please go on.
think I have some issues with the internet today, but okay, finally. Good evening, everyone. Today I'll be talking about injecting inclusivity, how to address the requirements of people who menstruate. So to begin with, I want to highlight that in the draft of the Menstrual Hygiene Policy 2023, we can see a lot of guidelines worded as girls, women, and people who menstruate. And I personally really appreciate this inclusion, but I know a lot of people would ask the question, who are these people? So the people in these guidelines essentially refers to anyone who menstruates but does not identify as a woman or identifies outside the gender binary altogether. So this could mean trans men, this could mean non-binary people and gender non-conforming people, as well as other gender diverse people. The use of such gender inclusive language around menstruation is very important because the assumption that only women menstruate can limit the purview of health policies in a way that harms trans individuals and non binary people, as well as everyone else who does not identify as a woman, because excluding them from policy formulation means a lack of guidelines that address their needs. Moreover, their exclusion can contribute to limiting their personhood and a lack of equal treatment, the latter of which goes against the spirit of the Constitution, which stipulates that no one will be discriminated against on the basis of their gender. And while this use of gender inclusive language around menstruation is pretty new and people are still getting used to it, of course, we've been socialized to think of menstruation and associate it with women and girls. So the use of this language predominantly is a very important step that has to keep being re-emphasized and enforced. But further steps in this direction must also continue to be taken to address the requirements of all those who menstruate. One such example is the setting up of gender neutral bathrooms in public spaces to create a safe space for people who menstruate. And increasing sensitization of diverse groups of people who do menstruate can also aid in dispelling problematic beliefs and reducing stigmatization of these groups. Of course, there are more specific problems that face groups who are not women who menstruate. And information around this, such as increased body dysmorphia and just plain discrimination, is also something that should be talked about more to spread awareness about this. This inclusion, in conclusion, should not only be in name, but also in practice. And the accountability and the onus for the same should not be shouldered only by the groups affected by this, but by society as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Achal. And I'm glad you highlighted this fact that we need to create provisions for people who menstruate at large and not just women, because I think ignoring the requirements would be by and large sidelining the whole topic of menstruation to another level. So thank you so much for that. And I think there are other speakers right now in the chat, or let's say in the meeting. If anyone else would like to speak up. Okay, all right. So for this session, the broad takeaways have been extending, the equitable dimension of menstrual policy, emphasizing accessibility, affordability, and inclusivity, which are the three main features of this whole discourse. However, there's one certain question I would like the participants to think about. And since I think, we have been in this session for quite a long time, it will be sort of a very short assignment for you all. We started this practice in the last session. And in the last session, I actually asked people to engage with the speeches of another speaker and elaborate their views on that. But this time we are having something different. I'm going to give you a question to ponder upon, which is, in certain parts of India and in certain parts of the world, menstruation is actually celebrated as, I would say a subset of the overall fertility of a woman, considering the Ambubati festival in, celebrated in the Kamakhya Devi temple in Guwahati, Assam, or in several, I would say, regions. Even in South India, there's this practice that when a girl starts menstruating, they have a huge function marking it. But are these practices really celebrating menstruation or normalizing it? Or what do you think? What are they at heart? Because I think I would feel I'm feeling compelled to cite this view that a lot of people had actually pointed out with respect to the practices in South India, that it was actually signifying the society that a girl is basically ready for marriage and was in her fertile era. So, I mean, I would like you to reflect on this issue, maybe write a paragraph of, let's say, 250 words, or, maybe even beyond that. But a very short take on what do you think these practices are, and how do we actually integrate our own religions and cultural practices into, I would say, propagating the notion that menstruation is actually normal. Because in a lot of cultures, it is said that, goddesses don't menstruate. And what do you think that is? What do you think is the position of menstruation or menstrual hygiene in the whole gamut of religion and culture? What do you make of these practices? Are they having the intended effect? Are they including women in the discourse, or are they like setting a very unrealistic, domain of representation for a very bodily, natural phenomena such as menstruation? So I'm just typing in my email ID in the meeting group chat. So you can reflect, you can write down your views in a Word doc, share with me in the body of the email or whatsoever. And I'll be getting back to you with my comments on that. Yeah, because I think that such exercises are required to stimulate some more thought on related aspects, for topics such as these. So I'm just punching it down. Take a screenshot or maybe copy it down somewhere. Yeah. Yeah, here's my email ID. So, I mean, either you also have the option of reaching me through WhatsApp, since my number is already in the chat group. Yeah. So I would like you to engage with the subject a little, because if you are going to pursue some research in, let's say, menstrual health policy or menstrual health policy management, then I think you'd also be allowed, or you'd also be required to engage with these perspectives of religion and culture, when, especially when we are talking about heterogeneous countries, when we are talking about countries with heterogeneous cultures and identities such as India. So I think that this will be your assignment in this policy Manthan session. Maybe from the next session, we'll be encouraging a bit of dialogue if we do have some time. Yeah, because I think, as you remember, in one session, we were having a close 30-second take or something on the importance of AI in education as well as its effects. So maybe I think we can integrate that kind of trend from the next session onwards. But for this session, you'd be reflecting on this topic about the location of menstruation in religious and cultural practices and their relevance, and what are their intended effects and what are the perceived effects according to you.